Alex and Claire first met during their college years. It wasn't love at first sight, but there was something undeniably magnetic between them. Both were ambitious and focused on their studies, so neither pursued anything beyond friendship. However, their connection was deep, and they often found themselves sharing long conversations under the stars, laughing until dawn and dreaming about the future. They were perfect for each other, but the timing never seemed right. As their graduation approached, Alex was offered a prestigious job in a different city, and Claire had her heart set on pursuing a dream overseas. They parted ways with bittersweet smiles, promising to keep in touch. But life, with its twists and turns, slowly pulled them apart. They drifted into their own worlds, not knowing that the spark between them still quietly flickered. Years passed. Both Alex and Claire had moved on in life. New cities, new careers, new relationships that didn't quite fill the void. Despite everything, they never quite forgot each other. Every once in a while, one would think of the other, wondering what might have been. One day, fate intervened, or at least tried to. Alex, now a successful entrepreneur, was traveling for work. On a busy Friday afternoon, while walking through a crowded train station, he caught a glimpse of a familiar face. It was Claire, or at least he thought it was. His heart skipped a beat, but before he could call out to her, she vanished into the sea of people. Claire, meanwhile, had been running late for a train. She, too, had noticed someone in the crowd who looked uncannily like Alex, but the moment passed, and she didn't turn back. As the train pulled away, she stared out the window, an inexplicable sadness settling over her, as though she had just missed something important. After that near encounter, Alex couldn't shake the feeling that he had missed his chance. He found Claire on social media and hesitated before sending her a message. Would she even remember him? Would it seem strange to reach out after all these years? He left the message unsent, convincing himself that she had likely moved on and forgotten him. Claire, on the other hand, had her own moments of wondering. She would see someone in a cafe or on the street who reminded her of Alex, and her mind would spiral into what-ifs. What if they had stayed in touch? What if they had been brave enough to explore the connection they had? But life had moved on for both of them, and reaching back felt too painful, too distant. A few years later, Alex attended a friend's wedding in a city not far from where Claire now lived. As fate would have it, Claire had been invited to the same wedding. Both knew they might run into each other, and both were filled with nervous anticipation. They hadn't spoken in years, and they weren't sure what to expect. As the night wore on, Alex and Claire found themselves on opposite sides of the ballroom, never crossing paths. He stepped outside for air just as she arrived at the bar. She left early, just as he finally gathered the courage to go look for her. The universe had cruelly teased them, putting them in the same place at the same time, but still keeping them apart. The missed connection left both of them haunted. For weeks afterward, Alex couldn't stop thinking about how close they had come. He finally reached out to Claire, but by then, she had started a serious relationship with someone else, someone who wasn't him. The message she sent back was kind but distant, acknowledging the near miss at the wedding, but also making it clear that she had moved on. Claire, though, wasn't as unaffected as her message suggested. She stared at Alex's name on her phone, fighting the urge to call him, to tell him that she had thought of him too, that she had wondered for years what might have been. But she couldn't. Too much time had passed, and life had taken them in different directions. Years later, both Alex and Claire found themselves in the same city again, this time by chance. They were both older, wiser, and more settled into their lives, but the flame between them, though faint, hadn't entirely died. They agreed to meet for coffee, their hearts heavy with memories and possibilities. As they sat across from each other, the conversation flowed easily, as though no time had passed. But underneath the laughter and reminiscing, there was an unspoken sadness, a shared understanding that they had missed their moment. They parted with a hug, a lingering gaze, and a bittersweet smile, both knowing that the life they could have had together would forever remain just out of reach. And as they walked away from each other for the last time, they carried with them the quiet ache of what could have been.